Hey, Justin Jolene here. In a recent running specialist report, we discussed how to assess patient eligibility to return to running. In this tutorial, we'll discuss what many clinicians get wrong with one of the most common functional tests, the single leg hop. But first, let's review how to perform the single leg hop test, its importance in return to run decision making, and how to avoid common mistakes when using the single leg hop. Lastly, we'll do a full breakdown of a patient's single leg hop and analyze their performance together. Now, if you'd like to learn more about functional tests, how to return patients to running successfully, and the latest research in running medicine, check out the Running Specialist Report. The link's down below. The single leg hop test is one of the most common functional tests to assess return to running. As you can see in this graphic, the patient will place their toes to the start line, pick up the non-jumping leg off the ground, and jump as far as possible. They are instructed to stick the landing for at least 3 seconds. And they want to keep the non-jumping leg in the start position. The patient should perform 7 practice jumps, which new research finds is the average amount of practice jumps needed to get accurate data. After completing the practice jumps, the patient should then perform 5 successful jumps bilaterally. Make sure to measure the distance of each jump. Now, the reason the single leg hop test is commonly used in return to run decision making is because performance has a strong correlation to quadriceps strength. And one of the best ways to determine if a patient has enough strength to return to running is by using the LSI, or Limb Symmetry Index. The LSI is a ratio of performance between extremities and can be calculated from any functional test. An LSI score over 90% is needed to return to running. Find a full explanation of the Limb Symmetry Index by logging into Runner Resources. However, evidence shows the LSI for the single leg hop test is consistently overestimated, which is known to lead to injuries such as ACL ruptures. This is because the single leg hop test only calculates the distance jumped. It does not take into account proper biomechanics. Therefore, new research aims to help clinicians objectively assess the quality of the single leg hop test biomechanics. As you can see here, the Quality First assessment guides clinicians to examine common compensations patients make when performing a single leg hop. Most important to assess are going to be trunk lean, hip drop, knee valgus collapse, knee flexion, and arch height. For easy scoring, a maximum of 3 points are available for each compensation category. While interpreting Quality First assessment scores are still being investigated, clinicians should use this as a guide for correct biomechanics during the single leg hop test. So let's go through this video of a single leg hop test from Mick Hughes. During the first 3 jumps on the right lower extremity, the patient has a very successful biomechanical presentation. Now, if I'm being picky, you can see slight movement of the opposite extremity upon landing. I wouldn't say that's a big deviation. However, this is the non-affected side. Now, let's talk about the affected side. While jumping on the left leg, we see a lot of compensations. On the first jump, he leans laterally and actually catches his balance against the wall, which would make this an unsuccessful jump and it should not be recorded. Similarly, the second jump should also not be recorded, since he touches the wall again. But the third jump is successful. He sticks the landing, but has significant lateral trunk lean and pelvic drop. Interestingly, the patient does not have a lot of valgus collapse of the knee or pronation. Therefore, this patient is not nearly ready to return to running. He was not able to stick the landing on the first 2 jump attempts, and while the last attempt was successful, the biomechanics would not be considered good quality. This is a great example of a patient that can jump a similar distance between right and left lower extremities, but has significant biomechanical compensations on the affected side, which must be addressed before returning to running. Make sure to use this with your runners to make better return to run decisions. And Running Specialist Report subscribers should check out Runner Resources for additional information on functional testing and return to run decision making.